speaking of inflation, we had the September inflation report, and what did you find there, Tori?
So it was a shocker. Let's just put it that way. I'm sure everybody's read their New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, whatever their CNN, journal, CNBC articles of choice on what's going on with the economy. Top line inflation, 8.2%. It was a lot higher than what people were expecting. The real shocker, though, was the increase in core inflation. Core inflation being you exclude the highly volatile food and energy components of the CPI and just focus on everything else. That was up 6.6%, which is year over year, which is the highest highest increase in the last 40 years. And that was a big shocker. And I think the takeaway from that is that the Federal Reserve isn't even close to being done in terms of rate hikes to ease inflation. They've got a lot of ground still to cover.
That core inflation number, that looked very disturbing, because there's a pattern in a chart you did that basically shows that core inflation number has been rising, kind of level, really going back to the spring.
Right.
And through the summer. And then this is like the third consecutive where it's inched up a bit in the face of Fed tightening.
Exactly.
This is the
top line number in the face of Fed tightening has moderated a little bit, when you look at year over year numbers. But the core inflation, at least at this point, I mean, obviously monetary policy acts with a lag. We know this. We just don't know how much of a lag, because it's different every time. And while it appears that maybe top line inflation has moderated a bit, at 8.2% compared to 9% in, this summer, the core inflation number is not following that trajectory.
And there was another report this week. We didn't. I don't think we wrote about it, but it's relevant to this, which is the employment. It's the wages, and whether or not they're keeping up with inflation. And the bottom line there was they're not.
Right.
Which is, the frustrating thing is that you factoring in, there were big increases in wages, which is a good thing, but they're not as high as inflation. So so-called real wages, adjusted for inflation, have actually been inching down, and that's a mess.